Look, my biggest problem with that play in Juju Smith-Schuster is that he is standing over a guy that is knocked out, a guy that he might have just given a concussion to in the wake of a night where Ryan Shazier went down and could have been paralyzed. I mean, that had hung over the entire game. To stand over Vontaze and taunt him like that was a really bad look. It was a really scummy, bad look. But last night was a brutal affair. It was a ferocious affair. There was a lot of laundry, a lot of penalties. And I'm here to tell you, games like last night are why the Steelers don't have more Super Bowls. I'm serious about this. What you saw last night has been happening between the Steelers and Bengals for 10 years. Add to that twice a year, especially a few years ago back in the heyday, the Steelers and Ravens did that to each other twice a year. You know, the Steelers and Bengals rivalry doesn't get nearly the same love that the Ravens and Steelers did because the Ravens and Steelers kept playing really big games, including in the playoffs. And those big games usually dictated who would go farther in the postseason, and both of those franchises won Super Bowls. The Bengals can't win a playoff game. But the Bengals and the Steelers routinely have that type of game. 4 games a year, the Steelers get destroyed and destroy the Ravens and Bengals, and this has been happening for a decade. That takes a lot out of you. Look at how the Steelers played in Foxborough last year in the AFC title game. They had nothing left. Now, granted, I didn't love their game plan either, but they had nothing left. And this is why the Patriots have gone to 1 billion Super Bowls. New England never plays a game like that. Ever. Ever. Think about their 6 divisional games. The Dolphins don't bring it like that. The Jets don't bring it like that. The Bills don't bring it like that. The closest the Patriots ever had in this 15-year window is the Jets under Rex Ryan for 2 or 3 seasons. But this is why, honestly, these are games. Don't think they don't have an effect going into January. These are brutal games, and everybody's banged up anyway, and you might say, well, it can only harden you going into the playoffs. Yeah, but it takes a physical toll. What happens if you lose Ryan Shazier for the season? What happens if all these bumps and bruises are just totally too much to handle? How about the exhaustion that happens because now the Steelers have to play the Ravens next week? You think they're ready for that emotionally and physically after something like last night? Meantime, the Patriots ice skate through the division. They ice skate into the playoffs. They always have a bye, and they always have home field advantage. You don't think that helps? Oh, it absolutely helps. Let's put the Patriots in the AFC North, play the Ravens and the Steelers twice a year. That's 4 games. And let's see if they still go 14-2 or 13-3. Now, it's not the Patriots' fault they play in a garbage division, but nights like last night have a cumulative effect on getting to the playoffs and getting deep into the playoffs. That last night, I think, will combine and contribute to the Steelers not having enough to get all the way through. You could see them slipping up against the Ravens next week because they're exhausted, and you can see them losing to the Patriots because the Patriots are really good and they're exhausted as well. Now they've lost the bye, or maybe they've lost home field advantage, and so now they've got to go to Foxborough again in an AFC title game, or maybe even in the divisional round. The Steelers have played down a competition a number of times this year. This is not to absolve them of that responsibility. But those are games last night that take a chunk of flesh out of you going into the playoffs. They do. There's just no way around it. And because of the Steelers' history of the Steelers, Ravens, and the Steelers, Bengals, I believe the Steelers would have 2 more Super Bowl appearances in this Big Ben era if they didn't play in a division like that. It's just brutal. It's carnage all the time. And that happens last night on national TV, so people go, oh my God. If you pay attention to football, the Steelers and Ravens did that twice a year for 10 years. And the Steelers and Bengals have been doing that to a pretty good extent. It's just not always on national TV in prime time.